It's hard to keep an elephant and other wild animals. It wasn't fair. All my friends had got pets. I wanted one as well. Mum and Dad said pets were nothing but trouble, but I pestered them and pestered them. In the end, they agreed I could have a cat. But I didn't want any old cat. So I got a giant cat, a furry lion. Mum and Dad were worried at first, but it wasn't much trouble. In fact, it snoozed for most of the day. Mind you, it was very hungry in the evenings. Mum and Dad weren't too pleased when it sharpened its claws, but I told them that all cats did that. But when the lion ruined Mum's favourite chair, they said it would have to go. I thought I'd get something smaller instead. So I got a skunk. I took it for a walk to show my friends, but they didn't seem too interested. I thought a skunk was great company until one day I tripped over it by mistake. It covered me with its nasty smelling spray. After that, no one would come anywhere near me. Mum made me wash in tomato juice. Imagine it! That was the only thing which would get rid of the stink. I had to stay in the bath for hours. Maybe keeping a skunk wasn't such a good idea after all. Mum and Dad said it would have to go. I thought I'd get something cuddly instead. So I got a monkey, a howler monkey. It made itself at home in our garden straight away. I gave it bananas, oranges and other fruit to eat. I couldn't believe what a messy eater it was, nor could Dad. The monkey was a very useful alarm clock. It howled at dawn each day and woke me up. But not everyone was pleased. Mum and Dad got very grumpy waking up at 5 o'clock, and so did the neighbours. Everyone said it would have to go. I thought I'd get something quieter. So I got a rattlesnake. It hardly made any noise. It lived in the washing basket and came out to play when I got home from school. Unfortunately, rattlesnakes are poisonous. I didn't need to worry though, because my friend Ned lent me his snake keeper's outfit. But none of my friends would come round to play because they didn't have snake keeper's outfits like mine. The snake's favourite game was hide and seek. It played it all over the house. I never knew where I'd find it next. Mum and Dad did not think this game was amusing at all. Dad nearly sat on it. Mum nearly trod on it. They said it would have to go. I thought I'd get a bird instead. So I got some penguins. They spent all day and night messing about in the water. None of us could have a bath for weeks. I loved watching the penguins. They made me laugh and laugh. Mum and Dad didn't laugh at all. We had to keep a few fish for the penguins in the kitchen, so there wasn't much room for anything else. Mum and Dad said the penguins would have to go. I thought I'd get something really tiny instead. So I got a pair of locusts. They were no trouble at first. They weren't messy or smelly. They lived quite happily in the garden and found their own food. But one day I found several more. Every week there were more and more of them. They ate and ate. They ate Mr. Jones's lettuces and Miss Smith's cabbages. Nothing was left of Dad's prized geraniums but the stalks. Soon there were so many locusts you couldn't see the ground. Mum and Dad said they would have to go. The locusts must have heard them. One day all of a sudden they rose up in a swarm and flew away. Good riddance. This time I thought I'd get a useful pet instead. So I got a camel. Dad was pleased because he didn't have to take me to school anymore. My friends were pleased as well because I let them have camel rides at lunchtime. Mind you, I wasn't so pleased when I found out how mean a camel could be. It spat, it bit, it kicked. It also had several other nasty habits which I don't like to mention. Worst of all, the camel was very, very stubborn. One day, it sat down in the hall and refused to budge. We had to climb in and out of the windows instead. Mum and Dad said it would have to go. I thought I'd try another useful pet instead. So I got an elephant. I thought it would be useful for washing the car. Mind you, it was a teeny bit bigger than I expected and its appetite was enormous. It pulled up most of the lawn, broke half the shrubs and knocked a tree over into Mr. Jones's garden. I told Mr. Jones not to worry. I know elephants could be trained to lift logs. Mr. Jones borrowed mine to move the tree, but I don't think he trained it properly. When the elephant had eaten most of the garden, I had to buy it tons and tons of hay. I dug a big pond in the garden so the elephant could have a bath. When he'd finished spraying himself, he treated me to a shower as well. The neighbours weren't keen on my elephant. It kept wandering into their gardens, probably in search of its herd. Mum and Dad said it would have to go. I thought I'd get an animal which could use the pond. So I got a beaver. In next to no time it had cut down the trees, gnawed the fence, chewed a hole in the tool shed and munched the struts on our veranda. It built a lodge of branches in the middle of the pond and spent all day chewing twigs. The garden was like an enormous adventure playground. My friends and I loved it. Mum and Dad didn't. They were furious. I suppose the garden was a bit of a mess. They said the beaver would have to go. I thought I'd get a less noticeable pet. So I got some prairie dogs. They lived in a maze of tunnels that they dug underground, so I didn't see much of them. From time to time they came out to nibble what was left of the grass. It was fun trying to guess where they would pop out. Mum and Dad didn't think it was fun at all. I think they were worried about the tunnelling under the house. They said the prairie dogs would have to go. They told me I couldn't have any more pets because they were far too much trouble. But maybe they'll let me have a cat. Cats are no problem. They laze about and eat and drink and like to be cuddled and like to be tickled. On the other hand, they sleep an awful lot. So perhaps I'll get a crocodile instead. Oh, and look at all of that mess those animals have made.